During the national championship match, a police dog's persistent barking at a soccer ball was initially dismissed by security officials as an overreaction. However, one officer trusted his partner's instincts and uncovered something that stunned the entire stadium. What was concealed within that seemingly ordinary ball? Before we delve into today's story, please share in the comments where you're watching from. If you appreciate remarkable police dogs and stories similar to this one, please subscribe. Don't miss future content. The autumn sun cast long shadows across Lincoln Memorial Stadium as 60,000 fans poured through the gates, their excited chatter filling the crisp Chicago air. This wasn't just any soccer match. It was the national championship final, with Chicago's hometown heroes facing their bitter rivals from New York. Amidst this controlled chaos, Officer Isaac Tate straightened his uniform cap and surveyed the expanding crowd, his practiced eyes noticing everything. Beside him, Dash, a sleek German shepherd with attentive ears and intelligent eyes, kept a precise heel position despite the intense sensory overload of the stadium. Another sweep of the south entrance, then we'll check the locker rooms again, Isaac stated into his radio, receiving a crackled confirmation from dispatch. He looked down at Dash with a smile. "Ready to work, partner?" Officer Tate called from behind them. Isaac turned to see Chief Williams approaching, his silver-streaked hair and commanding presence eliciting respectful nods from security personnel nearby. "Everything secure so far?" Isaac responded, straightening slightly. "Dash and I have completed 3 perimeter sweeps and verified all access points. We are proceeding to the field level now for a final inspection before kickoff." Williams acknowledged, his gaze turning to Dash. "Still our department's invaluable asset, I see." The chief's faith was well-founded. Last month, Dash identified explosives in an abandoned warehouse when the department's other canines had not, resulting in the apprehension of a domestic terror cell before they could carry out their plans. As Williams left, Isaac and Dash proceeded toward the player tunnel, moving with practiced efficiency through the pre-game preparations. The VIP boxes would be filling now, and the teams would soon emerge for warm-ups. As Isaac led Dash through the stadium corridors, his mind recalled their first meeting 4 years ago at the Chicago Police Department's specialized K-9 training facility. He'd been a patrol officer then, eager but uncertain about transferring to the K-9 unit after his previous partner had retired. That day, the training sergeant presented 5 German shepherds, all remarkable animals boasting impressive histories. However, upon Dash's entry into the room, a distinct difference was apparent. Whereas the other dogs vocalized or investigated, Dash remained seated, his amber eyes observing each handler with an apparent intelligence bordering on human. "This one's special," the sergeant remarked, his voice rough but laced with respect. Having completed his training at the top of his class in detection work, he has specific preferences regarding his handlers. He has already declined 3 officers. Isaac recalled kneeling to meet Dash at eye level, the room becoming quiet as they studied each other. "Hey there," he said softly. "Do you think we could work together?" To everyone's astonishment, Dash stood, walked directly to Isaac, and sat beside him, leaning against his leg. The selection had been made not by the department but by Dash himself. Just 6 months following certification, Dash and his team encountered their first significant case. While responding to a standard call concerning unusual behavior at a storage facility, Dash bypassed the apparent storage units and instead focused on a parked delivery van that appeared ordinary. His continued warnings resulted in the uncovering of a large fentanyl shipment concealed within hidden spaces, a quantity capable of triggering hundreds of overdoses. The case resulted in commendations for them, but more significantly, it solidified Isaac's complete faith in Dash's intuition. Repeatedly, when Dash signaled a problem, he proved accurate. Even when conventional reasoning suggested a different outcome, the initial players exited the tunnel to scattered applause from those arriving early, their cleats making a rhythmic clicking sound against the concrete before reaching the gentler turf. Following closely were the equipment managers, maneuvering carts filled with training gear, medical supplies, and the official match balls. Dash, having just completed a final inspection of the bench areas, abruptly stiffened. His demeanor transformed from relaxed professionalism to sharp alertness in a fleeting moment, a change so delicate that only Isaac would have perceived it. What is it, boy? Isaac murmured, observing the shift. Dash moved 2 measured steps toward the cart, his nose actively working, examining something undetectable to the average person. Isaac followed, appearing relaxed but carefully observing his colleague. The shepherd's ears were now standing straight up, his posture changing from interested to worried. "Everything okay, officer?" inquired one of the stadium security supervisors, a large man named Reeves, who liaised with the police for significant events. "Just checking something," Isaac replied, observing the equipment manager begin distributing balls for the warm-up. As the man opened the ball bag, Dash's behavior became more pronounced. His back stiffened, and his breathing pattern shifted. With practice balls laid out on the field, Dash began tracking one particular ball with unusual focus. His typically disciplined demeanor softened, revealing more insistent body language, a behavioral signal as if trying to communicate something important to Isaac. "It's likely just the scent of the new balls," Reeves offered, gesturing dismissively. "These championship balls are fresh from the factory, a special design for the final. Dogs probably detect the adhesive or something similar." Isaac nodded politely, but he sensed something was amiss. The balls may be new, but Dash had encountered soccer equipment countless times during stadium patrols. He had never exhibited any interest previously. Isaac instructed Dash and Heel, deciding to watch for a little longer before alerting anyone. The shepherd obeyed, though his focus remained on the ball, now being moved between players practicing. "Officer Tate, your radio crackled. Status report?" Isaac responded, all clear on field level, although a growing concern troubled his thoughts. Was he overlooking something? When Dash whimpered quietly, a sound he seldom made during work, Isaac chose to report the incident. "Supervisor Reeves observed that my K9 was displaying unusual interest in one of the game balls. I asked if I could examine it." Reeves frowned, glancing at his watch. "We're 30 minutes from kickoff, Tate. The commissioner and network executives are already concerned about the schedule." He implied the seriousness of the situation. False alarms at high-profile events were career-damaging mistakes. It was likely nothing, Isaac admitted, although the statement felt incorrect the instant he spoke it. "We will monitor the situation." The stadium exploded with sound as both teams ran out of the tunnel for the official commencement of the match. The referee went to the ball bag, choosing the game ball, the same one that had activated Dash's alert during warm-ups. As soon as the ball was positioned at center field, Dash's body stiffened again. His ears rose, and a quiet whine began in his throat. "Easy, boy," Isaac murmured, maintaining a hand on Dash's harness while reaching for his radio. "Dispatch, this is Officer Tate. My K9 is still alerting to the game ball, requesting an additional K9 unit to confirm." "Tate, this is Supervisor Reeves. Negative on that request. We cannot interrupt a national championship match without concrete evidence." Isaac felt frustration growing as he observed the ball being passed among players on the field. Dash's focus remained unwavering, his head moving deliberately to follow the questionable ball, his posture becoming more insistent. "With all due respect, sir, Dash has never been mistaken," Isaac insisted. "And I've been responsible for security at the stadium for 15 years, Reeves interjected. "Unless that ball detonates or begins to release a substance, we are proceeding with the match." Isaac activated his radio to a different frequency. "Officer Aaron Vargas, this is Tate. Do you read?" A short delay passed, then Aaron's voice responded. "Copy, Tate. Could you please make your way to section 114 where I am located? I need a second opinion on something." As play continued on the field, Isaac noticed something odd. A maintenance worker in stadium uniform was exhibiting unusual attentiveness to the game, not observing the players like a fan would, but focusing intently on the ball itself. The man's gaze followed the same trajectory as Dash's, tracking the suspicious ball with unnatural focus. Officer Aaron Vargas arrived, her canine partner Rex, a Belgian Malinois, recovering well. "What have we got?" she asked quietly. "Dash has been alerting to that game ball since warm-ups," Isaac explained, pointing discreetly. "The one with the small scuff on the logo panel and that maintenance guy by the tunnel is paying way too much attention to it." Aaron studied the situation briefly, Reeves shot you down? She asked. Completely, Isaac confirmed. Concerned about potentially impacting the game's flow, they continued their discussion when a forceful tackle brought down a New York player, prompting the referee to signal a free kick. The unusual ball paused briefly, and Dash's alert demeanor heightened. Rex, check, Aaron instructed softly. The Belgian Malinois responded instantly, becoming rigid and fixating on the same ball that had drawn Dash's focus. That's confirmation, Aaron stated, lowering her voice. Two dogs, each with distinct training histories, simultaneously alerted to the identical target. This was not a random occurrence. Isaac acknowledged this, experiencing a blend of reassurance and increasing worry. The maintenance worker touched his earpiece. A communication was being relayed to him. They observed him receive this message. Then he subtly moved nearer to the location of the ball boys. He's anticipating something, Isaac stated. But what's concealed within that ball? Cleared security as expected. Officer Tate keyed his radio, contacting Captain Reynolds directly, circumventing Reeves. Captain, this is Officer Tate. We have confirmed AK-9 alert on the game ball currently in play. Request permission to implement Protocol 17. Protocol 17 was departmental code for a covert evidence seizure, a procedure developed for situations requiring evidence collection without public awareness. The captain responded immediately and clearly. The scoreboard displayed a tense 1-1 tie as halftime drew near. The suspicious maintenance worker had moved 3 times during the first half, each time bringing him nearer the officials' area where the game ball would be secured during the break. For minutes until halftime, Isaac said, checking his watch. We need to secure that ball before anyone can make a switch. Aaron mentioned that the head referee consistently brings the game ball to the officials' room during halftime. The room has 2 entrances, the main corridor and the service hallway. Rex will accompany you through the main entrance, while Dash and I will monitor the service hallway. As they completed their plan, the referee signaled the halftime whistle. The audience's noise changed as spectators went to concessions and restrooms. On the field, the referee gathered the game ball, securing it beneath his arm as both teams ran towards the tunnels. Isaac and Dash proceeded calmly through the service corridor, utilizing their credentials to enter restricted areas. They established themselves in a recess, providing a clear view of the officials' room's back entrance, Dash remaining perfectly still, even with his apparent wish to follow the ball's scent. The target was in motion. A maintenance worker was proceeding towards the service corridors, carrying a duffel bag. Aaron's voice reported in his earpiece. Within less than a minute, the maintenance worker appeared, walking with deliberate steps down the service hallway. The man's expression was calm, but Isaac observed slight indicators of tension, including slightly rapid breathing, automatic scanning of the environment, and a firm hold on the duffel bag. The worker halted at the corner, waited for a stadium employee to move out of sight, and then headed toward the official's room. Rather than going in, he stood close by, feigning inspection of an electrical panel while visibly observing the door. Within the official's room, the referee team was examining first-half occurrences on a tablet. The game ball remained on a small table, briefly overlooked as the officials discussed a disputed offside call. Captain Reynolds spoke softly into his radio. Request distraction protocol at the official's room. Need 30 seconds. Copy that, Tate. Tate responded. Distraction incoming. Within less than a minute, a security officer approached the official's room from the main corridor, knocking urgently. Gentlemen, we need an immediate clarification for the VR team. There's a technical issue with the goal review. As the officials followed the security officer toward the main VAR station, Isaac took advantage of the diversion. While Dash monitored his progress, he entered the now vacant room, swiftly found the game ball, and conducted a quick inspection. Visually, the ball appeared standard. However, when Isaac applied slight pressure to certain areas, he observed an anomaly. The ball's surface responded differently compared to typical equipment. As he ran his fingers across the seams, he discovered a nearly imperceptible alteration, a section that had been skillfully resealed. Aaron, he murmured into his radio. I possessed the ball. There was clearly something contained within. It had been altered by professionals. Acting swiftly, Isaac made a small cut along an existing seam. Looking inside, He observed what seemed to be a tightly wrapped package fastened to the inner bladder. "We have contraband," he confirmed. He exchanged the suspicious ball with an identical one from team equipment stock and exited the room just before the officials returned. Within the security command post, Technical Officer Zhang examined the ball. The image displayed on the screen prompted silence among those present. The X-ray showed a complex alteration to the ball's internal design, a refined cavity situated between the synthetic leather exterior and the internal bladder. High-grade synthetic opioids were indicated by the density pattern, Zhang verified, adjusting the image to highlight specific regions. The skill of the construction is truly impressive. Observe how they've redistributed the weight to maintain proper flight characteristics. The ball would bounce, spin, and travel identically to an unmodified one. He pointed to several specific features on the screen. Note these reinforcement structures. Carbon fiber elements were included to maintain ball integrity during play, and this secondary bladder ensures proper inflation pressure despite the reduced air volume. This was not some rushed amateur job. This is a highly sophisticated undertaking, Aaron observed, examining the image with increasing worry. They would require specialized equipment, Zhang clarified. This included industrial-grade heat welding tools, precision cutting implements, and likely custom molds to maintain the spherical shape's integrity. We are discussing an operation demanding substantial resources and technical skills, he continued. And the drugs themselves? Captain Reynolds asked. Zhang explained that the synthetic opioids were in a crystalline form, specially processed to eliminate scent markers typically identified by canines. This is why standard security protocols failed to detect them. He estimated a street value of at least $3 million for this quantity, including impurities. Not just any game ball, Captain Reynolds observed, his face serious. The one certain to be broadcast on national television for 2 hours, handled exclusively by officials and players, and considered entirely beyond reproach, the ideal Trojan horse. As the second half approached, Isaac felt the familiar tension of a major operation developing. The maintenance worker is just one piece, he stated. There has to be a larger network. The coordinated takedown began with practiced precision. Plainclothes officers moved simultaneously throughout the stadium, closing in on identified suspects with minimal disruption. Most fans remained focused on the match, completely unaware of the operation unfolding around them. As a Chicago striker nearly scored again, Isaac and Dash moved toward the maintenance worker, using the enthusiastic crowd for concealment. "Marcus Elroy," Isaac stated softly, positioning himself next to the man. "Chicago PD, please place your hands where I can see them." Elroy paused briefly, his gaze flickering between Isaac and Dash as he assessed the situation. "I don't know what you're talking about," Elroy mumbled, subtly adjusting his position toward the exit. "I work here. We have already obtained both packages," Isaac responded calmly. "The operation is complete." The reference to both packages produced a noticeable reaction on Elroy's face. They had located not only the ball but also a secondary strategy. The situation hung precariously for a brief moment. Then Elroy decided, pushing a nearby food cart into Isaac's path and fleeing toward the service tunnel. Isaac reported into his radio, already in pursuit with Dash leading the way, as a suspect fled east through the service tunnel. The service tunnels beneath the stadium formed a confusing labyrinth of corridors, with a canine in pursuit. While Elroy might know the layout, he couldn't outpace a trained police dog. Dash moved with fluid speed, turning corners with precision and driving forward with single-minded focus. "I've got the exit covered," Aaron's voice came through Isaac's earpiece. "That route is blocked." Elroy forced his way through a pair of double doors and into a spacious equipment room, toppling shelving units in an attempt to delay his pursuers. The loud noise of the falling metal and plastic made for a confusing and difficult path, yet Dash's training allowed him to overcome it. The shepherd jumped over a collapsing cabinet, avoided a suspended electrical conduit, and continued the chase with unwavering focus. Isaac kept pace, his extensive physical training enabling him to move through the chaos while maintaining visual contact with his partner. The suspect arrived at a junction of corridors, pausing briefly, which allowed Dash to shorten the distance to just a few yards. Recognizing the dog was closing in, Elroy's desperation became apparent. He seized a rolling cart and pushed it straight into Dash's path. The shepherd easily avoided the obstacle, maintaining his speed with powerful, efficient strides. "Chicago PD, stop or I'll release the dog," Isaac announced, delivering the necessary caution. Elroy looked over his shoulder, his face etched with panic as he understood he couldn't escape the chase. As the suspect seized a metal pipe from a maintenance rack and turned to strike, Isaac gave a clear instruction. "Dash, stop." The German shepherd moved swiftly, resembling a furry projectile, focusing on Elroy's arm with the accuracy developed through extensive training. His jaws secured the suspect's wrist with a measured grip, sufficient to restrain without inflicting significant harm. The pipe fell to the floor as Elroy exclaimed in surprise and discomfort, the metallic sound reverberating through the service corridor. "Police on the ground," Isaac instructed, drawing his weapon as he advanced. Dash held firm, his years of preparation clear in his controlled composure. With his unoccupied hand, Elroy retrieved an item from his pocket. Isaac grew apprehensive, but the individual produced a compact remote device instead of a weapon. "Call off your dog, or I'm activating the third package," Elroy warned, his finger positioned over a button. "You believe you've located everything? There's enough fentanyl in the third one to endanger half the VIP section if it's released." "Dash, release," Isaac ordered. The shepherd followed the instruction, retreating 2 steps while staying between Elroy and the exit. Elroy's thumb moved towards the button. In that brief moment, Isaac needed to make a vital decision: shoot Elroy and risk him activating the device as he fell, or rely on Dash's training for a more accurate response. "Dash, take." The command was hardly spoken before the shepherd surged forward with impressive speed, focusing on Elroy's wrist with exact accuracy. The German shepherd's jaws closed around the suspect's hand, applying enough pressure to force his fingers open without causing fractures. The device fell to the floor. Isaac moved in immediately, securing Elroy while kicking the remote device to a safe distance. "Suspect in custody," he reported via radio. "Be advised, the suspect claims a third package is located somewhere in the VIP section, potentially rigged for dispersal." With the arrival of additional officers to apprehend Elroy, it was revealed that his warning regarding a third package was a fabrication, a last-ditch effort to gain advantage during his arrest. The Security Command Center was now filled with activity as the complete nature of the operation came to light. Suspects, identified via Elroy's phone records, had been discreetly arrested across the stadium. The soccer match displayed on the monitors progressed, with Chicago holding a lead of 3-1 and 15 minutes left on the clock. Captain Reynolds briefed the assembled team leaders, noting that 6 suspects were in custody. 2 packages containing roughly 5 kilograms of synthetic opioids had been secured, with a street value estimated at just over $4 million. Chief Williams considered the information, then issued his directive. The match should continue, maintain a heightened security presence, but ensure it remains unobtrusive. Work with stadium staff to put crowd management measures in place for standard postgame departures. As Isaac returned to his post with Dash, the stadium erupted in cheers. Chicago had scored again, securing their championship victory. The celebration provided ideal cover for the final phase of the operation as remaining suspects were identified and apprehended throughout the venue. The following morning, Isaac arrived at the precinct to find Chief Williams waiting in the briefing room with Captain Reynolds and several officials he didn't recognize. Dash padded beside him, sensing the significance of the meeting in his handler's body language. "Officer Tate," Williams greeted him with unusual formality. "These gentlemen are from the DEA and Homeland Security. They'd like to hear about yesterday's operation directly from you." The subsequent hour was dedicated to detailing the events, beginning with Dash's first warning and culminating in the synchronized operation. The federal agents listened carefully, sometimes asking about particular aspects of the smuggling technique. "The level of technical skill is what worries us the most," explained Agent Donovan from the DEA. The ball had been expertly altered with a hidden seam that would have been practically impossible to detect using routine security procedures. The internal bladder underwent redesign to accommodate the package while preserving proper inflation pressure and bounce characteristics. "Information received from the suspects has already proven valuable," Captain Reynolds announced. Elroy activated his contacts upon learning about the additional charges. We are coordinating with departments in 3 states for simultaneous raids later today. Following the briefing, a press conference was held in front of headquarters. The commissioner described the operation in measured language, highlighting public safety and avoiding specifics that could hinder current inquiries. The commissioner then stated, "I'd now like to introduce Officer Isaac Tate and his canine partner, Dash, the team responsible for the initial detection that enabled this operation." A reporter from the Tribune posed the key question. "Officer Tate, we've been informed that your canine alerted to something that security screening overlooked. What prompted you to follow his indication despite supervisor's initial dismissal?" Isaac hesitated, formulating his response thoughtfully. "In the 4 years together, Dash has never been incorrect when he alerts to something, not once. Our partnership functions on mutual trust. When he indicates something is amiss, I have faith in him, even when I cannot perceive the issue myself." That afternoon, as the workday concluded, Supervisor Reeves came to Isaac's desk. "Officer Tate," Reeves began, appearing uneasy, "I owe you an apology. Initially, I disregarded your report regarding Dash's alert, considering it an excessive response. Had I heeded you at first, we might have resolved the matter more quickly." In the parking lot, away from onlookers, Isaac permitted himself a brief feeling of justified pride. He knelt beside his partner, gently stroking the fur around Dash's neck and offering the sincere fondness that existed apart from their professional bond. "You were incredible yesterday," he told Dash softly. "Truly incredible. I understand you aren't concerned with press conferences or stylish uniforms. You were simply performing your duty, correct?" Dash's tail moved slightly, his brown eyes locking with Isaac's, reflecting the strong connection that had defined their partnership from the start. Leaving the precinct, Isaac considered how what began as a standard security detail had evolved into a pivotal operation for them both. If successful, the smuggling attempt would have created a route for illicit narcotics to reach communities in several states. The resulting harm to people would have been devastating, all averted thanks to a single determined dog's persistent barking at a soccer ball. Have you ever observed an animal detecting something that humans didn't notice? A remarkable instance occurred during a championship soccer game when a police dog named Dash persistently barked at a game ball that appeared normal. Officer Isaac Tate, Dash's handler, was presented with a challenging decision. Should he disregard his partner's reaction as a misjudgment or rely on the instincts that had proven reliable throughout their 4 years together? What action would you have taken if you were Officer Tate? How do you find the strength to uphold your beliefs when those nearby question them? Or, for example, the persistent barking of your canine companion? We are intrigued by the unique relationship between working dogs and their handlers. Have you ever seen this remarkable connection between a working dog and their handler? Or have you experienced a comparable bond with your own pet? Many of us have accounts of animals detecting danger before humans could recognize it. From dogs alerting to health emergencies to pets behaving strangely before natural disasters, what experiences have you had with animals detecting things beyond human senses? Share your stories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this incredible story of Dash's remarkable detection abilities, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our weekly releases featuring the extraordinary achievements of police canines around the world. Please share this video with friends who value the exceptional abilities of working dogs and the committed officers who work alongside them. View our past stories about canine heroes, which are currently showing, including the inspiring story of a bloodhound that located a lost child across many miles of wilderness, and the bomb detection dog who secured a hospital during a critical threat. Each canine possesses a distinctive story of bravery, intelligence, and steadfast loyalty. A thief believed he had chosen an ideal location at an ATM, a minor oversight. A woman had a dog with her. He didn't think it was a significant issue. He's committed this crime before. What he wasn't aware of, that wasn't just any dog. It was a trained canine German Shepherd. And the subsequent events left him pleading for assistance. Before we share today's story, please leave a comment below indicating where in the world you are watching from. And if you enjoy extraordinary canine stories such as this one, be sure to click the subscribe button. A sense of anticipation hung in the air. The autumn wind whistled through the deserted streets of downtown, carrying with it the rustling of fallen leaves and the faint sound of city activity. The clock had just indicated 9, and the typically lively financial district was vacant, leaving behind an unsettling quiet, disturbed only by the infrequent passage of vehicles. Emma Walker drew her navy blue jacket more closely around herself, her footsteps resonating against the concrete sidewalk. Nearby, Atlas moved with understated assurance, his substantial German shepherd build presenting a striking presence under the faint street lamps. His ears were consistently attentive, meticulously observing their environment, a habit developed through years of military instruction. The recognizable blue light of the ATM called to them from the intersection of Winston and 4th. Emma hadn't intended to make a withdrawal so late, but her morning meeting with new clients required her to have cash available. Atlas remained patiently as she neared the machine, his amber eyes mirroring the fluorescent light from the bank's exterior. "Just a quick stop, boy," Emma said softly, retrieving her card from her wallet. The night felt different, somehow quieter than usual. Even the distant traffic seemed softened, as if the city itself was holding its breath. Atlas's ears moved at every small sound. The rustle of paper caught in a fence, the screech of a cat somewhere in the distance. Emma paused, her finger hovering over the keypad. The soft thud of footsteps seemed closer now, more deliberate. Atlas's posture shifted slightly, his muscles tensing beneath his thick fur. She felt it too, that creeping sensation of being watched, of eyes boring into her back from somewhere in the shadows. The ATM screen glowed steadily, waiting for her pin. The wind picked up again, carrying with it the metallic tang of approaching rain. Emma's fingers moved rapidly across the keypad, attempting to disregard the feeling of her heart pounding in her chest. Atlas stayed motionless, but his focus shifted to something behind them, his ears alert, his body tense like a coiled spring. The machine started, beginning to process her transaction. Emma hoped it would proceed more quickly, keenly aware of how vulnerable they were. The street lamp above them flickered once, momentarily extinguishing before sputtering back to illumination. During that instant of darkness, she detected it distinctly, another footstep drawing nearer, and the subtle rasp of metal against cloth. Atlas emitted a low vibration so muted it was barely noticeable. It wasn't his customary warning bark, nor even a growl. This was unlike anything she's heard from him. A sound Emma had only experienced him produce once previously, during their previous training session together. A distinct noise escaped him, a sign he perceived genuine peril. The ATM emitted a beep, releasing her money with precise mechanical action. Emma's hands shook a little as she took the bills, her breath appearing in the chilly night air. She felt Atlas's apprehension emanating from beside her, his training clashing with his innate desire to move, to act, to safeguard. It was then that she detected it, the distinctive sound of a blade being drawn, followed by the thud of heavy footsteps on concrete. Atlas's muscles tensed, poised to act, but before either of them could respond, a harsh voice pierced the night air, hinting at impending violence. "Don't move. Don't even think about it." The voice emerged from the shadows, carrying the confident power of someone experienced in such situations. It lacked the shaky nervousness of a novice. This carried the distinct feel of a seasoned encounter. Emma felt a chill as she became aware of someone behind her. Dangerously close. Unacceptably close. "Give me the money. Now." The money in Emma's grasp suddenly felt heavy. Her past military training resurfaced. Evaluate the circumstances, recognize potential dangers, determine possible courses of action. But each potential solution that crossed her thoughts vanished swiftly. Escape. He was too near. Confront him. The danger was too great. Atlas hadn't moved a muscle beside her, but she perceived the shift in his posture. His body had become tense, with each muscle coiled, ready to act. His eyes, those keen amber orbs, were focused on something behind her, analyzing and evaluating, just as he'd been trained to do in Afghanistan. "I said now." Impatience broke through the man's restrained demeanor, a risky sharpness that signaled violence barely contained. Emma turned, her movements slow and precise, mirroring the techniques she's instructed numerous handlers to use in dangerous situations. The man's stature was immediately apparent. He was significantly taller than her, and his dark clothing seemed chosen to disappear into the shadows. However, her attention was drawn to the knife. It was a tactical blade, military grade, with a serrated edge that reflected the ATM's blue light with a threatening gleam. He held it with the easy assurance of someone who knew how to use it well. Atlas emitted a low rumble. It wasn't the typical warning bark of a family pet, but the deliberate threat assessment of a military canine. The sound finally caught the mugger's attention, focusing on the German Shepherd. "Shut that mutt up," he spat, gesturing with the knife in a way that indicated formal training in close-quarter combat. "Or I'll do it myself." His eyes moved quickly between Emma and Atlas, conducting rapid threat assessments but incorrectly analyzing the situation. The manner in which he held the knife indicated a familiarity born of dangerous situations, not classroom instruction. "Just take it," Emma said, keeping her voice steady, utilizing the hostage negotiation techniques she's learned over the years. She started to offer her hand with the cash, continuing the gradual, reassuring motions she's practiced in numerous military drills. The man's eyes narrowed as he observed her cooperation, his instincts alerting him that something felt amiss. That's when Atlas barked, not a fearful yelp, but a bark filled with the authority of a trained military canine. The sound resonated off the nearby buildings, a clear signal that carried through the quiet street. The mugger's reaction was slight but significant. He's dealt with dogs previously, but not one like this. A brief expression of anger crossed his face, stemming from a bruised ego more than genuine fear. "I told him to be quiet." His boot struck out with practiced precision, connecting with Atlas's ribs with a jarring impact that indicated steel-toed reinforcement. The German Shepherd's yelp pierced Emma's heart like a blade. The sound of her partner in pain sparked something primal within her as she observed him stumble. "Stop!" The word escaped her throat, but the attacker had already shifted focus, closing the gap with the swift movements of a predator. The knife located her throat with a familiar smoothness, its chill edge a stark contrast against her skin. The blade possessed a keen sharpness, a professional quality, the type manufactured for military applications. "Give me the money," his voice rumbled, carrying the musty odor of cigarettes and another, indefinable scent, hinting at more troubling routines. "And everything else you possess, cease the delay." Emma sensed Atlas regaining his composure nearby, the first cry of pain shifting into a deeper, sustained rumble that hinted at military discipline and restrained aggression. The man's gaze had become intense now, moving rapidly between Emma, the cash, and the dog. His hand shook a little as it gripped the knife, but Emma understood it wasn't due to fear. It was adrenaline, the compelling surge of strength that comes from controlling another person's life. "Empty your pockets too. Everything." The knife pressed harder, and Emma felt a sharp sting as the blade's edge made contact with her skin. A single drop of blood appeared and trickled down her neck, feeling warm against her cold skin. It was objectively minor, barely more than a paper cut, but that single drop of blood altered everything. Atlas observed it fall, noting its path as it stained the collar of Emma's jacket crimson. At that instant, a significant alteration occurred in the German Shepherd's behavior. Emma perceived it initially, the alteration in the atmosphere, the way Atlas's growl evolved from a caution into something else entirely. His military training, inactive for so long, rose to the surface. The playful companion vanished, replaced by the precise weapon he'd been trained to be. The mugger failed to recognize the change, too engrossed in the contents of Emma's pockets. He failed to notice Atlas's muscles tense, didn't detect the dangerous focus in those amber eyes. He continued issuing commands when Atlas moved forward, a swift movement of concentrated aggression and practiced skill. The moment appeared to stretch as his teeth closed on the mugger's knife hand, hitting the precise spot between thumb and wrist, a technique military canines are trained to disable. The force of the impact propelled both individuals rearward, Atlas's motion designed to destabilize the assailant while preserving his own equilibrium. The man's scream tore through the night, a visceral primal sound originating from within his core and releasing into the deserted street. The knife slipped from his limp fingers, rotating as it descended, reflecting the fluorescent glow of the ATM before striking the damp pavement. A metallic sound reverberated among the nearby buildings, sharply contrasting with the attacker's ongoing cries. "Get him off! Get him off!" The man's voice broke with panic as he struggled violently, his unconstrained arms swinging in frantic motions. However, Atlas's hold demonstrated the result of thousands of hours of military instruction. His jaw exerted a precise force of 450 psi, applied with surgical precision to restrain without causing harm. Each subtle movement of his muscles, every minor adjustment of his grip revealed years of experience and a disturbing readiness. Emma recoiled, her fingertips detecting the faint line of blood on her neck. The minor abrasion throbbed in the cool night air, a stark reminder of how narrowly she had escaped a much graver situation. Her heart pounded against her ribs as she observed Atlas at work. This was not the affectionate friend who nestled on her sofa or retrieved tennis balls in the park. This was a military-grade canine demonstrating years of specialized training with mechanical precision. "I'll kill you." The mugger's free hand swung wildly, attempting to connect with Atlas's head. But the German shepherd moved like liquid shadow, evading each desperate strike while maintaining that iron grip. His training was evident in every action, from how he shielded his vulnerable eyes, to how he adjusted his posture for maximum control, and how he leveraged the man's own force. The attacker's attempts became more hurried, each failure intensifying his panic. Initially sparse, the rain began to fall, quickly becoming a consistent beat. The ATM's blue light illuminated each raindrop, forming a dreamlike scene around the conflict. Water began to darken the pavement, causing the mugger's boots to slip and scrape as he struggled for leverage. But Atlas's paws remained planted with unwavering certainty, his years of training evident in how he adjusted his stance to account for the slick surface. "Let go." Another wild swing whistled through the rain, missing Atlas by inches. The man's face contorted into a mask of pain and fury, his threats dissolving into incoherent sounds of rage and fear. His free hand moved toward his pocket, but Atlas had been trained to identify such actions. The German shepherd subtly altered his hold, adding a precisely measured increase in pressure that produced another howl echoing through the night. Emma's hands shook as she retrieved her phone, raindrops hitting the display. The mugger's eyes grew wider at her action, desperation now evident instead of his previous confidence. "Don't you dare," he growled, trying to move toward her. Atlas's grip remained unyielding, his muscles flexing beneath his increasingly wet fur as he maintained perfect control. Even through the rain, Emma could see the intense focus in his amber eyes, the look of a professional executing his mission with unwavering dedication. Sirens began to wail in the distance, their sound cutting through the steady drumming of the rain. The mugger's struggles intensified, panic now evident in every movement. He struggled to regain his balance, trying to stand. However, Atlas effortlessly blocked the attempt. The German shepherd utilized the man's own force against him, a maneuver perfected through extensive military training. They were returned to the damp pavement, the mugger prone on the ground, Atlas holding him firmly while subtly shifting his position to adapt to the altered situation. "He's going to tear my hand off," the man exclaimed, his earlier aggression vanished, now expressing palpable fear. Emma observed the deliberate composure in Atlas's stance. It wasn't the uncontrolled aggression of an angered animal. Instead, it was the careful regulation of a professionally trained military canine. Each action was intentional, each modification of force accurately assessed. Atlas possessed the capability to inflict significant injury if he selected to, but that wasn't within his training. Regulation, not injury, was consistently the goal. The rain intensified now, adhering Atlas's fur to his robust physique. Streams of water trickled down the mugger's face, mingling with sweat and the tears that had started to fall. His efforts were diminishing, the fight leaving him as the truth became clear. The knife rested abandoned in a spreading pool, its danger lessened by a power its owner had tragically misjudged. "Please," he cried out, his voice faint against the rain and the sound of approaching sirens. "I'm finished. I'm finished. Release him." But Atlas's amber eyes stayed fixed on his objective, his grip firm. His time in the military had instilled in him the ability to remain composed until formally released, and that discipline was evident in his demeanor. His ears remained attentive, monitoring the sound of approaching sirens, while his muscles stayed braced, prepared to respond to any final, frantic actions. The flashing red and blue lights appeared through the rain, reflecting on the damp ground and producing a vibrant array of emergency hues. The mugger ceased struggling, lying face down on the ground with his hands securely held in Atlas's grip. His chest rose and fell with labored breaths, each exhale a testament to his utter defeat. Emma observed as police cars arrived, their headlights piercing the rain. Officers dismounted, weapons drawn. Police, remain still. The order sliced through the rain, distinct and forceful. 3 officers appeared through the rain, their tactical flashlights illuminating the area with bright white light. Emma raised her hands slowly, intentionally showing her empty palms. The movement caused a slight pain from the small cut on her neck, a reminder of how narrowly things had unfolded. "He's the one," she stated, her voice calm despite her rapid heartbeat. She indicated the subdued mugger with a careful motion. "My dog. He's trained." The former military canine reacted to his training, not displaying aggressive behavior. She maintained a professional tone, recognizing the vital importance of these initial moments for the safety of all involved. The officers advanced with tactical precision, their movements deliberate and synchronized. Their flashlight beams pierced the rain-filled air, revealing a scene that spoke volumes. A combat knife rested in a spreading puddle, its edge still reflecting the light, as the mugger lay secured on the damp pavement. Atlas, demonstrating remarkable composure, held him with practiced accuracy while rain flowed down his strong physique. He showed no reaction to the arriving officers, nor did he increase his hold. His military background was evident in his posture. "Ma'am, is this your dog?" As one officer moved closer to Emma, his colleagues continued to monitor the area, their hands positioned near their weapons but not deployed. His nameplate reflected the light, identifying him as Martinez, and his actions indicated extensive experience. Emma observed his approach from a strategic angle, mindful of her personal space and Atlas's possible response area. She subtly touched the faint mark on her neck, a reminder of where the knife had caused a cut. The rain had washed away the blood, but the memory remained vivid. Yes, this is Atlas. His background included service in a K-9 unit with 3 tours in Afghanistan, where he specialized in suspect apprehension and handler protection. Officer Martinez observed Atlas with the experienced gaze of someone accustomed to working dogs. The German Shepherd's grip was precise, maintaining control without inflicting undue harm, his body aligned to impede any attempts at escape from the suspect. "I see that," Martinez stated, a genuine note of admiration in his voice. "That's not civilian training we're looking at. Never really leaves them, does it? That military precision." He keyed his radio, his voice calm and professional. "Dispatch, be advised, we've got a military K-9 on scene. Situation is contained. Subject is secured by the K-9. No additional units needed." Code 3. The mugger, his face pressed against the wet pavement, had abandoned all pretense of resistance. His voice emerged as a pleading whisper, a stark contrast to his previous threats. "Please just get this beast off me. I can't feel my hand anymore. Please." Martinez replied calmly, almost clinically. "You can feel it just fine. That's a military-trained bite hold. If you couldn't feel your hand, that would mean he wanted to cause actual damage. Trust me, if he wanted to hurt you, you'd be in an ambulance right now, not talking." He turned to Emma, maintaining a professional demeanor. "Ma'am, when you are prepared, you may give him the release command. We currently have sufficient officers present." Emma approached, her voice possessing the authority that Atlas was trained to acknowledge, even as her hands still shook. "Atlas, release." The instruction was barely finished when Atlas reacted, showcasing his excellent training. He released his grasp immediately, retreating precisely 2 steps. The established procedure for preserving tactical superiority while establishing a secure perimeter. His gaze remained fixed on the suspect, his posture still tense and prepared to react should the situation escalate. Each action was deliberate, restrained, and professional. Two officers approached seamlessly, their handcuffs produced with practiced skill. As they restrained the mugger's hands behind his back, their flashlights illuminated the confirmation of Atlas's exacting command. There were no signs of injury. There were no serious lacerations, only deep impression marks that would result in significant bruising. This demonstrated a level of control honed by years of military training. Martinez picked up the knife with a gloved hand, inspecting it with a professional eye. It was a 7-inch tactical blade, featuring a serrated edge. He looked at the mugger, then at Atlas. You are fortunate you realize that. Many dogs, even those with training, would have inflicted severe wounds when they observed their owner experiencing bleeding. This one, however, he indicated Atlas, who remained watchful beside Emma, poised for action. He understood his actions precisely. This wasn't merely training, it was military precision. The mugger faltered as officers escorted him to a waiting patrol car, his soaked clothing dripping onto the ground. A mix of fear and anger colored his voice as he yelled over his shoulder, "That dog's a weapon. Could have killed me. You all witnessed it. It's dangerous." Martinez's reply reflected considerable experience. He did not harm you. Rather, he applied precisely the force necessary to prevent you from causing harm to another person. That is not a weapon, it's a professional. He addressed Emma, his deference clear. We will require a complete statement from you, ma'am. And frankly, I'm very interested in learning more about your companion. We rarely observe this degree of restraint in non-military circumstances. Emma moved to kneel alongside Atlas, her fingers tracing the well-known patterns through his damp fur. His muscles remained taut, prepared for action, yet his eyes began to relax at her touch. The shift was captivating to observe. The sharp military focus slowly receded, akin to a meticulously sharpened blade being carefully returned to its sheath. 3 tours in Afghanistan, she mentioned, unable to suppress the pride in her tone despite the remaining adrenaline. He was trained in suspect apprehension and handler protection. I collaborated with him during his final year of service. Her fingers located the area behind his ears that he enjoyed, and Atlas shifted closer to her touch, even as his gaze followed the officers guiding his target toward the patrol car. The hearing impairment resulting from an IED explosion necessitated early retirement. However, as you can observe, the training remains ingrained. Martinez acknowledged this, a sincere look of gratitude on his face. That clarifies the degree of control we just observed. Even well-trained civilian dogs would likely have reacted aggressively after witnessing their owner threatened. He indicated the area where evidence markers were being positioned around the knife and blood droplets. This demonstrated a textbook military apprehension technique, minimum force, maximum control, the kind of precision achieved through thousands of hours of specialized training. He retrieved his notebook, its pages dampened by the rain. Would you be willing to provide us with your complete statement? This incident serves as an excellent illustration of appropriate force employed in civilian defense, a scenario that could be valuable for training exercises. The heavy rain had begun to ease, settling into a gentle drizzle that caught the light from newly arrived patrol cars, creating shifting patterns of red and blue on the wet streets. Officers were moving purposefully around the scene, photographing evidence, marking positions, and documenting how one mugger had learned the hard way about underestimating a retired military canine. Emma stroked Atlas's back, sensing the strong muscles that had benefited from his training. The disciplined soldier was fading now, giving way to her beloved companion, although she understood that this other facet of him would always remain, poised to surface immediately if necessary. Ready to deliver our statement, boy? She inquired gently. Atlas gazed up at her, his amber eyes bright and watchful, and then rose gracefully, water dripping from his coat in shimmering trails. Martinez guided them to his patrol car, where they could record their statements in a dry place. He mused, we could genuinely benefit from having a dog like him to showcase correct canine restraint methods at the academy. Those particular control skills are uncommon, particularly in retirement. The manner in which he sustained that hold while preventing significant harm is precisely what we aim to instruct our canine units. He accessed the car's rear door. Would you consider assisting us in demonstrating authentic professional restraint to our trainees? An hour later, Emma was seated in her living room, holding a warm cup of tea, observing Atlas as he rested on his bed close to the fireplace. He had completely dried off after they arrived home, but she still used a towel to dry him, carefully examining him for any injuries from the kick he'd received. There were no visible marks. He was as tough as always. The occurrences of the night replayed in her thoughts. The ATM, the knife, that single drop of blood that had activated Atlas's training. She touched her neck, where the minor cut had already ceased bleeding, practically just a scratch. The mugger's words replayed in her mind. That dog's a weapon, but he'd been mistaken. Atlas wasn't a weapon, he was a protector, trained to apply precisely the appropriate force, and nothing more. Officer Martinez's card was on her coffee table. He's been sufficiently impressed to propose that Atlas could assist in training new canine units, demonstrating what true control resembled. Most dogs either fail to engage or escalate the situation, he had clarified. What your dog did tonight, that's the ideal example. Impeccable restraint, impeccable control. Atlas's ears twitched at a sound from outside, but his body stayed loose. The military sharpness he had shown previously had completely faded, yielding to the calm presence she knew so well. Still, Emma recognized more deeply than ever that both aspects of him were genuinely present, equally significant. The training hadn't made him perilous, it had made him dependable. Her phone vibrated with a text from her sister. Just saw the police report. Are you okay? Emma smiled, quickly typing back, we're fine, Atlas handled it. She anticipated a wave of questions tomorrow, but for now, she simply wanted to sit with her guardian, her friend. Come here, boy, she called softly. Atlas rose immediately, padding over to settle beside her chair. She ran her fingers through his fur, still slightly damp from the rain. You're still the same good boy you've always been, she murmured, just with some extra skills we hope we never need. Atlas gazed at her, his intelligent amber eyes reflecting the unwavering dedication Emma had always recognized, the ability to transition swiftly from playful friend to resolute guardian based on her needs. The mugger had perceived only the focus of his training, but Emma understood the complete picture. She saw the kind spirit who enjoyed belly rubs, and the skilled professional capable of neutralizing an armed assailant with precise technique. A distant siren echoed somewhere in the city, and Atlas's ears twitched toward the sound, but his eyes remained fixed on Emma, clear and alert, prepared as always for whatever might occur. She smiled, scratching that spot behind his ears that he loved. I think we've experienced enough excitement for one night, haven't we? Tomorrow she knew she'd have to file more reports. Police inquiries, concerned calls from friends and family, and potential media attention regarding the military dog who thwarted an armed robbery were all possibilities. However, for tonight it was simply the pair, secure and united. Emma relaxed further in her chair, the last traces of adrenaline dissipating. Atlas rested his head on her lap, a reassuring weight that conveyed protection and loyalty. The rain had ceased entirely, leaving the city refreshed and still. Good boy, Atlas, she murmured, her voice filled with pride and gratitude. Good boy. As Atlas settled comfortably beneath her hand, Emma realized that while she hoped to never endure another night like this, she could handle anything with her trained guardian present. What would you do in a similar situation? Has your dog ever shielded you from harm? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Consider this. Do you believe military and police dogs should be allowed to retire with their handlers? I read every comment. If you enjoyed the Atlas story of bravery and protection, please like the video. It really helps the channel grow. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to receive notifications for future incredible canine stories. Explore these other compelling canine stories currently displayed. Each highlights the remarkable connection between handlers and their expertly trained partners. Until next time, remember, behind every exceptional canine is a story of loyalty, training, and unwavering courage.